Have you done your taxes yet? I have not. As a financial planning expert, Michael Foguth, founder of Foguth Financial Group, is here to help. He can cover the current economic landscape, tax season tips, and share insights for near retirees and retirees. He has a big retirement planning event at the Capitol Grill in Troy on Thursday, March 27th, where attendees can learn directly from him and connect with notable sports figures like Lomas Brown and WJR's own Anthony Bellino. It's going to be fun and informative. Joining us now is Michael Foguth. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Kevin. How are you, sir?
Good. I appreciate you being here. Tell us a little bit about Foguth Financial Group.
Well, what's really, really amazing is we started off as a one-shop place here in downtown Brighton, and we've now expanded to over 13 locations across Detroit, Scottsdale, Ohio, and, moving all across the United States.
That's fantastic. I know that you have some strategic partnerships with the University of Michigan, the Detroit Lions. How does that work out? How do they enhance community connections?
Well, when you think of community, right, I mean, the Detroit Lions have been in our community forever. It's kind of funny. The Lions, I look at the Lions fan is probably one of the most proud and loyal bases and fan bases across the entire country. I mean, we had people tailgating when we're 0-16, and now we have people tailgating, traveling, and it was the big thing with community, and everybody rallied around it. University of Michigan's the same way. Again, one of the greatest fan bases in the entire country. And when our organization had an opportunity to be able to reach out and work with, at the University of Michigan, student athletes, working with NIL money, coaching staff, fans, alumni, it just was a perfect merge with what we're doing inside of communities, what they're doing, and big believers of education.
All right, we want to help some people out who are getting ready to do their taxes. What are some of the key tax season tips that you like to share?
Here's the big things. Most people who have not filed their taxes like me and you, I heard you just say that, that's probably because we're not getting a big return back, and we may even owe a little bit of money. So the people who are usually filing, immediately right away are getting money back. That means that you've probably overpaid at some point. You don't have a tax plan. You're just kind of going about, hey, I'm going to withhold whatever my employer has or whatever I elected, and you just kind of go through the flow, go through the motion, if you will. But the people who are doing tax planning, see, our office really focuses on the planning side of taxes. We don't do preparation. Like, I won't prepare last year's return, but I want to plan from this year, next year, and the following year. Like 5 years from now, we should know what your tax bill is estimated to be, and we can plan accordingly to maybe save you a little bit here and there when it comes to taxes.
So that means you get to know the client, get to know the person, not just what they're doing, but what they're, maybe they have a side hustle, maybe they have this, maybe they're planning a family. All of these things are going to be a part of a master plan.
It's exactly right. And, here's the biggest thing with your master plan when it comes to taxes. It's all about to change. And I say that because I believe we're probably going to get a pretty large tax reform taking place this year with the current administration. But even if they don't pass something, our taxes are going to revert back to what they were in 2017. So our plans that we have for this year are going to be changing for next year. So with our clients, we want to be on the forefront of that, saying, hey, when this happens, when you retire, when these things take place, this is what we should anticipate. Now, life's always going to throw you a curveball, right? It's something's going to happen. And when those things happen, we got to be prepared for them. But for the most part, when you're retired or you're nearing retirement, it's a pretty steady flow of what your income is going to look like. Therefore, we can plan your taxes, do some Roth conversions, do a lot of these fun things that I get a kick out of, because at the end of the day, if we can save money on taxes, there's just more money back in our pocket.
When you think about mistakes that people make, what areas do they fall in? I tend to think right there in retirement contributions, making sure that you plan that out correctly to maximize that. But I'm sure there's others.
There's so many opportunities, and from when you're working and you have all of these deductions. See, the biggest myth that we were always told when we were working, hey, take your deductions now, put your money in the 401k, defer your taxes, because when you retire, your income will be lower. That's not true. And hey, when you get there, you're not going to have, as big of a tax bill. Well, that's not true. The problem that I see every single day with retirees when they come through our doors is they have a majority of their nest egg is in an IRA or a 401k, and that is 100% taxable as ordinary income. So for me, it's like, okay, it's just as important to do wealth management, and the markets are going absolutely bananas and people are, getting a little bit of hitting a panic button, but it's almost like it's got short-term memory. So it's like wealth management is a huge part of our business. But to me, if I can do a proper tax plan and integrate that into a wealth management, client's going to be significantly better off both short-term and long-term.
When you talk about Social Security and Medicare tax filing, what are the key points?
It's tying into everything, right? A lot of retirees don't realize this. If you make too much income, or taxable income, I should say, in retirement, your Social Security gets hit with a second tax. And the wild thing is, we hear the word, inflation is a big buzzword these last few years. The problem is government hasn't integrated inflation into their calculations for Social Security tax limits. The maximum threshold is if you have a taxable income for a married couple over $44,000, up to 85% of their Social Security gets dumped back into an ordinary income tax bracket. So a lot of people don't realize this because, again, you don't see all these little taxes unless you add them all up at the end of the year on your 1040. And again, most people, when we talk about taxes, they turn their stuff over to a CPA or they give it to an accountant. They get a bill back of how much they owe to the IRS or how much they're going to get in a return, and they move on and they just rinse and repeat. So I like to say you've got to plan ahead and know what's going to happen and try and save as much money on taxes as you can.
Yeah, you talk to retirees and they're on this fixed income and they're panicked about inflation. What are some of the things you talk about if you get on this plan in advance of the retirement to mitigate the risks?
It's 100%. Number one, we're mitigating risk, and a lot of people want to talk about that right now. And here's what I tell people, right? The markets have been just ripping and roaring, double-digit returns for the last almost 15 years, right? The problem that people are now faced with is you have these unrealized gains or you have all of this growth in your account, but you don't get to lock that in until you actually sell something and lock in the gain. So it's just as much as people can say, well, I only lost this much money on paper when the market crashes. I tell them it's the same thing. You only made that much money on paper until you lock it in. So we're starting to sit down with people and say, okay, we've made significant increases in the portfolio these last few years. Maybe it's time to pull some chips off the table as you get closer to retirement. To your point, get back on a fixed income or figure out what that income is going to be. All of our clients, we look to give them at least a 3% pay raise for inflation each and every year because things are going to continuously go up in cost.
How do people join you for this big retirement event at Capitol Grill in Troy? It's Thursday, March 27th. How do people attend?
Right on the WJR website, there's an opportunity for them to go on there, or they go to foguthfinancial.com/WJR. So Foguth, it's Foguth, financial.com/WJR.
Perfect. And we'll have that on the WJR website, WJR.com. You'll find it right there in front. Michael Foguth, founder, president, Foguth Financial Group. Appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you as always, Kevin. Have a great day. It's looking beautiful out there today.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Appreciate you. Quick break. You're listening to All Talk on WJR.